Wish you all a pleasant day. And today we are going to reflect upon the gospel passage given by St. Luke, chapter 15, verses 1 to 32. Now, all the tax collectors and sinners were coming near to listen to him. And the Pharisees and the scribes were grumbling and saying, "This fellow welcomes sinners and eats with them." So he told them this parable. Which one of you, having 100 sheep and losing one of them, does not leave the 99 in the wilderness and go after the one that is lost until he finds it? When he has found it, he lays it on his shoulders and rejoices. And when he comes home, he calls together his friends and neighbors, saying to them, "Rejoice with me, for I have found my sheep that was lost." Just so, I tell you, there will be more joy in heaven over one sinner who repents than over 99 righteous persons who need no repentance. Or, what woman having 10 silver coins, if she loses one of them, does not light a lamp, sweep the house, and search carefully until she finds it? When she has found it, she calls together her friends and neighbors, saying, "Rejoice with me, for I have found the coin that I had lost." Just so, I tell you, there is joy in the presence of the angels of God over one sinner who repents. Then Jesus said, "There was a man who had 2 sons. The younger of them said to his father, 'Father, give me the share of the property that will belong to me.' So he divided his property between them. A few days later, the younger son gathered all he had and traveled to a distant country, and there he squandered his property in dissolute living. When he had spent everything, a severe famine took place throughout that country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to one of the citizens of that country, who sent him to his fields to feed the pigs. He would gladly have filled himself with the pods that the pigs were eating, and no one gave him anything. But when he came to himself, he said, "How many of my father's hired hands have bread enough and to spare? But here I am dying of hunger. I will get up and go to my father, and I will say to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Treat me like one of your hired hands.' So he set off and went to his father. But while he was still far off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion, and he ran and put his arms around him and kissed him. Then the son said to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son.' But the father said to his slaves, 'Quickly bring out a robe, the best one, and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. And get the fatted calf and kill it, and let us eat and celebrate, for this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found.' And they began to celebrate. Now his elder son was in the field, and when he came and approached the house, he heard music and dancing. He called one of the slaves and asked what was going on. He replied, 'Your brother has come, and your father has killed the fatted calf, because he has got him back safe and sound.' Then he became angry and refused to go in. His father came out and began to plead with him. But he answered his father, 'Listen, for all these years I have been working like a slave for you, and I have never disobeyed your command. Yet you have never given me even a young goat, so that I might celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours came back, who has devoured your property with prostitutes, you killed a fatted calf for him.' Then the father said to him, Son, you are always with me, and all that is mine is yours. But we had to celebrate and rejoice because this brother of yours was dead and has come to life. He has lost and has been found. The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. And this is a prominent and important time to celebrate and think about God's forgiveness for us. And it's a famous gospel passage which we reflect upon during the time of Lent. And the passage I read a few seconds ago, it talks about forgiveness. Many a time we think about how to receive the forgiveness from God. It is well and good, and it is the best way to reflect upon the gospel. But why Jesus brings in three kinds of different parables, and why Luke puts it into a same chapter? It starts with the lost sheep, the lost coin, and the prodigal son who was lost. What is Jesus trying to tell? First and foremost, we have to see to whom Jesus presents this parable. He presents this parable to the scribes, Pharisees, Sadducees, who thought that they were good people, and they always avoided the tax collectors who were labeled as sinners or prostitutes, or anybody for that matter. They thought that they were good people, and they were not ready to accept people as they are. And they named them sinners, and they always rejected them, put them away from the society. Now, Jesus tells this parable to these Pharisees who cannot accept the people, those who are called, so-called sinners. Now, Jesus starts with the lost sheep. To put it in a nutshell, he says, when a person has 100 sheep and he loses one, and then he goes in search of that one sheep, he gets it back, he puts on his shoulder, and he is happy, he comes home. Now, sheep is not a pet for those people during Jesus' times. Even today, when people have cows or sheep at their home, or hen, or any birds, it's not just a pet, but it's also considered as property. Especially people even in these days who have cows and sheep, they consider it as a property. So sheep, when he loses a sheep, it's a property, and he gets it back. It's an animal, and people are happy about it. Now, the second parable, it is about the lost coin. She has 10 coins. A woman has 10 coins, and she loses one, and she is searching for it until she gets it. She is persistent. She's persevering to get that coin, and she gets it. And she adds to the other 9 coins, and now she is happy. And it's a thing. It's a thing. It's money. It's money. It's lifeless. It may buy you food, yes, but still it is lifeless. So when you get an animal, you're happy. When you get a coin, you're happy. When you get money, you're happy. Well and good. Now, Jesus enters into a different realm. He starts with animal, a material, that's money. Now he is talking about the lost human being. So when you get an animal, you're happy. When you get money, you're happy. But what if a person, one who hurt you, is coming back? How do you accept him? And this is the message that God tries to give us. Many a time we think that, oh, I'm a prodigal son, I have to come back to Jesus. Well and good. Nothing wrong in it. And it is a legitimate way and worthy way to reflect on this gospel. That is one way. The other way, why Jesus is trying to tell and present the prodigal son, is to say, when people, those who hurt us, come back to us, We got to accept them unconditionally. And let us dig deeper into this parable. Now, it is a very controversial parable according to the Jews. Now he says, the second son, the younger son, is committing the sin. What is the sin? He's asking for the property. First and foremost, why the younger son? Jesus could have presented the elder son as a bad one, but he presents the younger son as a bad one. And that was a shock to the Pharisees and the Sadducees and the scribes, and in general to the Jews, because they never heard that younger son was against anything, because the younger son was always good. Even in our homes, we always take care and love. Everybody loves the last child in the family. Baby of the family is loved by everybody. And now Jesus is putting the younger son into task. It's interesting because from the beginning, from the Old Testament, from Genesis, always the prophets, their history, the people of Israel, the Jews' history was solid, that always the younger son was favored by God. The elder son was not. For example, in Genesis, the first son, Abel and Cain, who was favored? Abel was favored. Not the first one, the younger son. Esau, Jacob. Who was favored? Jacob was favored. So always in the history of Israel, the younger son was favored. But now Jesus changes the history. Now it's a controversial, it's a bad parable according to the Pharisees and Sadducees, and according to the history of Jews, history of the people of Israel in general. Now Jesus says, he is sinning, which means the one who is loved by the family, the one which the people of Israel, the history celebrates, is the younger son. Now the younger son commits a sin. What is the sin he commits? He is asking for the property. Now, in the Eastern culture, asking for the property is a big taboo. It is because when a father is alive, and the sons are asking for money for the property, and the division of property is synonymous to telling that, Dad, you're dead. I don't have anything to do with you. Give me my property and I'm just going to leave. So this is the thing. This is the sin first he commits. But when the Pharisees and the Sadducees listened to this story, the beginning is a shocking thing. The younger son committed a sin. Younger son goes against the household. Now, it is not the son who committed the sin according to the Pharisees and Sadducees. The dad who let the younger son go committed the sin, because he could have stopped him. He did not. Now, the younger son, he leaves home. He leaves the country. And it's a big issue, and it's a sin for the people of Israel to leave their own homeland. It is because their history, their religion, their politics, everything is combined, intertwined. It is not separated. Mostly Eastern religions and Eastern culture is to see everything integrated. But the Western culture is different. It is always compartmentalized. We are not going to talk about which is greater and which is smaller and which is lesser. We are just going to talk why and what is the issue behind this parable. And now he leaves the country. Now he is committing another mistake. Father lets him go. He doesn't stop him at all. He could have stopped him. And he goes. He goes and he squanders all the money. He loses everything. Now he is penniless. He doesn't have a penny to live on. And so he goes, he gets the money, he gets a job. He hires himself to another person in a different country. And now what's the job he gets? It is to herd the pigs, the swine. For the Jews, even to touch the swine or the pig is a sin. It is against their religion. It is against their law of purity. But he did. It is not that he was with the pigs. He herds the pigs, but he was with the pig, and he even ate the food that the pigs ate. What was the condition that he went to? This is the lowest level that he could go. And now he's poor. And in this struggle, he thinks about his father, and he reflects that. He thinks that he comes to his senses and he wants to go back to his father. And now he writes a letter of apology in his heart. He says, Father, I sinned against you and God. I'm coming back. Take me into their home, not as your son, but as one of your servants, one of your slaves. Now he gets ready with the apology, and he moves on to his dad. Now he's going back to the dad. What is the another mistake that father made according to the Pharisees and Sadducees? He came back. He ran and came back, seeing his son filled with love, and to show the joy, he came to his son. And this is the mistake that the father made, because a person who sinned, who left the home country, has to undergo some sacrificial rituals. Only then he will be clean and he can be taken into the house, rejoin the family. But the father did not ask of him to do any sacrifice or do any ritual stuff. But simply he goes and touches him. He is impure. The younger son is impure. He sinned. He became ugly. And he's coming back. But the father touches him and accepts him. This is another mistake that father does. It's according to the Pharisees and Sadducees. And then celebration begins. The calf, they get a fatted calf, they cook, and the father asks his servants to bring the ring, the robe, the sandals. These are the signs that the father is giving him the authority in the house again. And he comes back. He celebrates, everything starts, music and dance, everything begins. And now the elder son comes home. He is furious to hear that his brother's back and his father was trying to celebrate. And he's celebrating. It is the same way we feel sometimes. Sometimes a sinner is always happy and blessed by God. And sometimes when we are good, we suffer. And when people commit a sin, we say that, hey, you are a sinner and I'm good. And that's what the elder son thought. And he refused to come into the house. And even he says that he doesn't even address his dad as father. He says, and he doesn't calls his brother as brother. The son of yours, when he came back. See how furious he is to use those words. He did not even say father. No. He heard his dad. And he says, you never gave me anything. You never gave me anything. And he refused to go in. But the father says, all I have is yours. And that's how the parable ends. We do not know where the elder son went back to the house or not. But who is this elder son? This elder son is the Pharisees and the scribes who could not accept people who sinned against God. And even today, it's hard for us to accept people, those who go against the law. We may be perfectionists or moralists, and we follow everything that is said in the Bible. Whatever the church teaches, we may follow it. But how wonderful Are open-hearted are we to accept people, those who sin? And this is the great message that God is trying to tell us, that accept as people they are. Jesus was always with the sinners, and he accepted everybody. He embraced everybody, irrespective of where they come from. He was with the prostitutes. He was with the drunkards. He was with the tax collectors who were labeled by the Jews as sinners. But Jesus was with them, and he was happy to accept them. And that's why Jesus tells these three parables. When you get a sheep, you're happy. When you get money, you're happy. But what about a person who comes back? Are you able to forgive him unconditionally without celebrating any rituals? Even, it's very interesting to note that even the apology that the younger son prepared, he started enunciating it. He started talking about it, presenting it to his father. But he stopped him abruptly. He said, "Father, I sinned against you and heaven," or God. That's it. And he did not even let him finish that the prepared one was, "I will be one of your slaves." He did not let him say that. He came back, that's it. But when people sin against us, we make them ask or apologize or ask sorry. Only then we accept them. But God asks us today to accept people as they are. And whenever they come back, let us not label them as sinners. Whether it's a little thing that the mistake they did or a big huge sin they committed, let us accept people as they are.